Did you know that children made up roughly 1/4 of all people enslaved and shipped across the Atlantic? This is just one heartbreaking chapter in the complex history of African children, a history often overlooked, yet vital to understanding the continent's present and future. Today, we delve into this story, a story of stolen childhoods, brutal exploitation, but also of incredible resilience and resistance. From the horrors of the transatlantic slave trade to the struggles against apartheid and the ongoing fight for child rights, we will explore the major themes that have shaped the lives of African children for centuries. Our journey begins with the transatlantic slave trade, a dark chapter that forever scarred the African continent. From the 16th to the 19th centuries, an estimated 12 million Africans were forcibly transported across the Atlantic. Tragically, a significant portion of these were children, torn from their families and their homes. These children were primarily taken from West Africa, and as the demand for slave labor intensified, increasingly from the interior regions. They were then forced into grueling labor on plantations in the Americas, the Caribbean, and Latin America. Children were seen as valuable commodities, capable of being trained and exploited for their entire working lives, and younger enslaved people, sought after as abolition pressures mounted. The horrors of this trade didn't just involve physical labor, it involved the systematic destruction of families. Children were often separated from their parents and siblings during capture, during the forced march to the coast, during sale to traders, and finally, during shipment overseas, each stage a fresh trauma. Moving forward in time, we arrive to the era of colonial rule, a period marked by further injustices against African children. One particularly disturbing example is the abduction of mixed-race children in the Belgian Congo and Rwanda. Under Belgian colonial rule, especially during King Leopold II's regime in the Congo Free State, mixed-race children, often born to African mothers and European fathers, were systematically removed from their families. This practice, justified under the guise of welfare or education, aimed to sever the children's ties to their African heritage. A documented case is the removal of children from the Kivu region in today's Democratic Republic of the Congo, as well as from Rwanda and Burundi. Records show that at least 283 children were relocated to Belgium from these territories in the late colonial period. Other records document more than 1,000 children sent to families and orphanages in Belgium. Adding insult to injury, the colonial authorities often altered the children's names and birth dates, making it nearly impossible for them to trace their families later in life and systematically erasing their identities. The Métis population, people of mixed African and European ancestry, were particularly affected by this cruel practice. We now turn to the devastating issue of child soldiers in Africa. The United Nations defines a child soldier as anyone under the age of 18 who is recruited or used by armed forces or armed groups in any capacity. Sadly, this has been a widespread problem in many African countries, including South Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, Uganda, Sierra Leone, Angola, Mozambique, Liberia, Burundi, Nigeria, Niger, Somalia, and Algeria. It's estimated that roughly 40% of the world's child soldiers are in Africa. Global estimates suggest that over 300,000 children serve as child soldiers worldwide, although verifying exact numbers is extremely difficult. Child soldiering extends beyond battlefield combat. Children are exploited as porters, messengers, spies, guards, cooks, domestic workers, sexual slaves, and even suicide bombers, which is often missed in popular discussions. The use of children in war is often linked to conflict, state collapse, displacement, poverty, inaccessible schooling, and weak birth registration systems. These factors create a vulnerable environment where children are easily exploited. In the face of these immense challenges, African children have also shown incredible resilience and played a vital role in shaping their own history. The Soweto Uprising in South Africa stands as a powerful example of this resistance. On June 16, 1976, around 10,000 black students in Soweto protested the apartheid regime's discriminatory education policies. This uprising, met with brutal force by the apartheid police, became a major symbol of African child and youth resistance. Many children and youth were killed during the uprising, fueling international outrage and galvanizing the anti-apartheid movement. In commemoration of the Soweto Uprising, the African Union established the International Day of the African Child in 1991. Observed annually on June 16, this day focuses on children's rights, education, health, and protection across the continent. It serves as a reminder of the sacrifices made by the children of Soweto and a call to action to ensure a better future for all African children. It also highlights the fact that African childhood history is also a history of resistance. Children and youth were central to political resistance, anti-apartheid struggles, anti-colonial mobilization, student movements, and community survival under war and displacement. Today, the legacy of these struggles continues to inspire activism and advocacy for children's rights across the continent. As we look at modern Africa, the issues facing children remain critical. Modern African states and regional bodies still confront child labor, child marriage, trafficking, displacement, recruitment by armed groups, malnutrition, and school access barriers. The legacy of Soweto continues in African debates about language of instruction, access to schooling, equality in education, and curriculum decolonization. Moreover, descendants of enslaved Africans and those affected by colonial removals often seek family tracing, archival access, reparations, and public acknowledgement. The Belgian Meters case is now part of broader discussions of colonial accountability. Africa's youngest population makes child history especially relevant. Current policy debates on health, schooling, digital safety, and jobs are deeply connected to the historical treatment of children. Even in war-affected regions, including parts of the DRC, South Sudan, Somalia, and Burundi, these countries continue to face child protection challenges. Post-conflict reintegration of former child soldiers remains a long-term issue. There are, however, still controversies and suppressed histories that need to be addressed. The forced removal of mixed-race children in Belgian Congo and Rwanda is still not widely known outside specialist scholarship. The archival record was fragmented, and families were often denied access to information, and the policy was long minimized under the language of education or protection. Furthermore, it's hard to provide accurate figures on the undercounting of child soldiers because armed groups do not keep reliable records, age is often undocumented, and children may serve in hidden or informal roles. In conclusion, the history of African children is a complex and often painful one, marked by enslavement, colonial exploitation, and the horrors of war. Yet, it is also a story of resilience, resistance, and the ongoing struggle for child rights. By understanding this history, we can better address the challenges facing African children today and work towards a future where their rights are protected and their potential is fully realized.